Have you ever said, I hardly work today? And have you ever said, I'm hardworking engineer? These sentences are incorrect, but I hear these common mistakes from all students from beginner to advanced. Today, you'll correct 12 common mistakes in English so you sound fluent and professional when you speak. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. I'm going to put your English to the test. You'll see a sentence and there is a grammar mistake. You need to identify and correct the mistake. So let's say you want to impress your boss and you say to your boss, I hardly worked today. What is the mistake here? The mistake is mixing up, which means confusing, hardly and hard. The correction is, do you know what the correct sentence is? Remember, this is to impress your boss. I worked hard today. Hard is an adverb, and it means with a lot of effort. So if you want to impress your boss, you should say, I worked with a lot of effort. I worked hard today. Notice the structure is subject plus verb plus hard. I worked hard on the report. I worked hard to finish the report. Now, the original sentence used hardly. The sentence is grammatically correct. Hardly is also an adverb, but it means the opposite. It means barely, almost not. So if you say, I hardly worked today, it means you did very little work. So that would not impress your boss. Now notice the structure is different. We have subject plus hardly, or you could use barely, it's the same meaning, and then your verb, in this case worked. I hardly worked on the report, you did very little work. I hardly worked to finish the report, you did very little work. So remember, use hard to show you put in a lot of effort. Don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Sentence number 2, you need to identify the mistake. I'm extremely hardworking engineer. Again, you want to impress your boss. But what is the mistake here? The mistake is missing article with job titles. So the correction is, how can you correct this sentence? I'm an extremely hardworking engineer. So remember, singular job titles require articles. This is a rule. Your choice of article is a, and, the. I'm an engineer, of course, because engineer starts with a vowel sound. But if you add great as your modifier, as your adjective, then you need a. I'm a great engineer. Because remember, the sentence structure is article, adjective, noun. You can absolutely say I'm the engineer, but what does this mean? This means you're a specific engineer, the one working on this specific project. I'm the engineer on the project, or you're the only engineer in the company. I'm the engineer. It's only me. Now you can think of student as a job title, and you can say, I'm an amazing student. That describes you, right? So put that's me, I'm an amazing student. You're watching this lesson, you're doing the work. So put that's me, I'm an amazing student. Sentence 3, we are 3 on the project. What's the mistake here? The mistake is using we are instead of there are. I hear this a lot from students, most likely in your native language or that student's native language. That's the structure. But in English, the correction is there are 3 people on the project. So notice how I also added the noun. number plus noun. In English, we use there plus the verb be, conjugated, to talk about the existence of something or the number of things. So the structure is there plus the verb be, conjugated, the number, and then the noun. For example, there is one engineer on the project. There are, so now it will be plural. There are 3 engineers with that S because it's plural on the project. Question 4, despite he was tired, he finished the report. What's the mistake here? The mistake is using a clause after despite. So how do you correct this? You can say, despite being tired, he finished the report. This is an acceptable sentence structure, is despite plus gerund. Another correction is, do you know what an alternative way of saying this? Despite the fact that he was tired, he finished the report. So here, notice I kept the clause, but to do that, you need to add some additional words. Despite plus the fact, and then that is optional. And then the clause. A clause is subject, verb, object. It's a complete sentence. Now, a third correction is you could say, although he was tired, he finished the report. So you can use although plus clause. And although has the same meaning as despite in this context. Now there is a fourth correction. Do you know what it could possibly be? You could say, despite his tiredness, he finished the report. Because you can use despite plus noun. So did you get any of these corrections? Question 5, what's the mistake? If I have some questions, I'll let you know. Do you know what the mistake is here? It's using some instead of any. So the correction is, if I have any questions, I'll let you know. If you have if or a negative, you use any. If you have any questions, please let me know. I don't have any questions. With a positive, you use some. I have some questions about the timeline. You can also use a or one. I have a question, which means I have one question. So that's the singular because remember, some is plural. I have a question, one question about the timeline. Now this isn't just for questions, this is any noun. So if you have any issues, problems, plans, ideas. Sentence 6, I look forward to hear from you. What's the mistake? You know this one, right? It's using the infinitive instead of the gerund. So the correction is, I look forward to hearing from you. So it's to look forward to plus gerund, or you can use a noun. You can say, we are looking forward to your visit, and that's the noun. Or you can use a gerund, we were looking forward to watching the movie. So remember, you need to conjugate to look, that's your verb. And of course, to look forward to means to anticipate with pleasure. So I hope you're thinking, Jennifer, I look forward to watching your next lesson. You could also just use the noun form and say, Jennifer, I look forward to your next lesson. That's acceptable as well. So does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Sentence 7, I'm used to work on a team. What's the mistake here? Do you see it? The mistake is the infinitive instead of the gerund. So the correction is, I'm used to working on a team. So the expression is to be used to. Notice that pronunciation, used to, and then gerund or noun. And this is for a feeling of comfort with someone, or something. For example, I'm used to making YouTube lessons. I have a feeling of comfort. You can use this in the negative and say, she's not used to speaking in English yet. She doesn't have that feeling of comfort. Let's review the structure subject plus use plus infinitive. This is used for a routine past action. I used to work on a team. They used to live in New York. Routine past action. Now you can also use the structure to get used to plus noun or gerund. So this is to talk about the transition from not comfortable to comfortable. You can say she's not used to speaking in English yet. So you can say she's getting used to speaking in English. So your verb is get to talk about that transition, and get is conjugated in the present continuous because it's an action in progress. Sentence 8, I need to understand better the requirements. What's the mistake? It's the incorrect word order. So what's the correction? You can say two things. I need to better understand the requirements, or I need to understand the requirements better. Both placements of the adverb better are acceptable. So the adverb comes before the infinitive verb, or the adverb comes after the verb and object, so at the end of the sentence. Sentence 9, I had a difficult time to contact the client. What's the mistake here? Again, it's an infinitive instead of a gerund. So the correction is, I had a difficult time contacting the client. So the structure is to have plus article plus adjective plus time plus gerund. Now you can use a positive adjective. We had, remember your verb is have, so you conjugate that. We had an easy time contacting the client. She always has a frustrating time contacting the client. Now you also use the gerund when you use to have plus problems, difficulties, or challenges plus gerund. You could say, I had problems contacting the client. Or maybe you're thinking, I had challenges learning English until I found Jennifer. Does that describe you? Put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Sentence 10, my boss has been angry in the morning. What's the mistake here? The mistake is using the present perfect, has been angry, with a specific past time reference. Now, in the morning is a specific past time reference because it represents at 9 o'clock a.m. or at 10:30. So the correction, you can say, my boss was angry in the morning because we use the past simple plus specific past time reference, such as in the morning. Another correction, you could say, my boss has been angry since the morning because we use the present perfect with since. This shows that the action started in the past and continues until now. And remember that since represents a starting point in time. So since the morning is like saying since 9 a.m. or since 10:30 a.m. You could also say, my boss has been angry lately or recently. We use the present perfect with lately or recently to show the action started in the recent past and continues until now. The next sentence has two mistakes. So this is sentence 11 and 12. I don't know, how can I boiled this report down? Can you identify one mistake? Can you identify two mistakes? Well, let's talk about mistake one. The first one we see is using a question structure for a statement. So let's review a simple statement. I don't know how I can improve my speaking skills. Maybe you've said this, I don't know how I can improve my speaking skills. So here it's I don't know plus how plus clause. So the clause is subject, verb, and then object. Remember, that was a statement. To ask a question, you would say, how can I? How can I improve my speaking skills? So here the structure is how plus verb plus subject. So the correction for this sentence would be, I don't know how I can, and then what's mistake number 2? It's the wrong verb conjugation, and in this case, after the modal. So we want modal plus base verb. I often hear students say, you should to bring an umbrella. This is incorrect because you want the base verb. You should bring an umbrella. So in this case, the correction is, I don't know how I can boil this report down. And if you're not sure to boil something down, this means to summarize the most important information. This is a separable phrasal verb. So there are 3 correct structures. How can I boil this report down? How can I boil down this report? Or how can I boil it down? Amazing job correcting all these common grammar mistakes that I hear every day from my students. Do you want me to make another lesson like this? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep improving your English with this lesson. Watch it now.